How to Build Assets That Pay You Forever. Written and published by Mindset Masters AudioBook. Part 1. The Shift from Earning Money to Owning Income. There is a moment in every person's financial journey when effort stops feeling rewarding. You work harder, stay up later, push further, and yet the results barely move. Income rises slowly, stress rises quickly, and time feels more expensive than ever. This is not a failure of discipline or intelligence. It is a structural problem. You are trading time for money in a system that rewards ownership, not effort. This book begins with a fundamental shift, moving from earning income to owning income. Assets that pay you forever are not built by luck, secret tricks, or overnight wins. They are built by people who understand how money really works, how value compounds, and how to think long-term while acting decisively in the short-term. Before strategies, tools, or opportunities matter, your thinking must change. That is the work of this opening part. If you listen closely and apply what follows, you will never see money the same way again. Why hard work alone will never make you wealthy. Hard work is necessary, but it is not sufficient. Most people are taught a simple equation. Work more, earn more, save more, be secure. This equation is outdated. It was designed for a world where jobs were stable, pensions existed, and costs grew slowly. Today, effort without leverage leads to exhaustion, not freedom. The truth is uncomfortable but liberating. Wealth is not built by how hard you work, but by how many people, systems, or dollars are working for you. A surgeon may earn more than a shop owner, but the shop owner can sell the business. The surgeon cannot sell their hands. An employee may receive a salary, but an asset owner receives income whether they show up or not. Hard work builds skills. Assets build freedom. Until you separate these two ideas, you will remain trapped in a cycle of perpetual effort. The difference between income and assets, and why it changes everything. Income is what you earn. Assets are what you own. Income stops when you stop. Assets continue. This distinction seems simple, yet it divides two completely different financial lives. Income characteristics. Requires your presence. Is taxed immediately. Has a ceiling. Stops if you get sick, tired, or distracted. Asset characteristics. Produces value repeatedly. Grows with time. Can be sold, scaled, or automated. Often improves while you sleep. An asset does not mean you never work again. It means the work you do today continues to pay you tomorrow. The wealthy do not chase higher income forever. They use income as fuel to acquire asset. The psychological trap of the paycheck. The paycheck creates an illusion of safety. It arrives regularly. It feels predictable. It gives comfort. But it also quietly trains dependency. When your lifestyle depends entirely on your next paycheck, you are not financially secure. You are financially fragile. True security comes from multiple streams of income that are not tied to your daily effort. This does not mean quitting your job recklessly. It means understanding the job's role. It is a funding source, not the destination. When you see your income as seed capital instead of spending money, your entire strategy changes. The asset mindset. Thinking like an owner. Asset builders think differently in 5 critical ways. 1. They value time over status. They are not impressed by appearances. They are impressed by control over their schedule. 2. They delay gratification strategically. They don't avoid enjoyment. They postpone it to build something that multiplies enjoyment later. 3. They think in decades, not weeks. Short-term discomfort is acceptable when long-term payoff is clear. 4. They measure progress in ownership. Not salary. Not titles. Ownership. 5. They separate ego from strategy. They choose boring, proven systems over flashy, fragile ones. This mindset is learnable. It starts with unlearning what you were taught about money. Why forever income is possible, and not a fantasy. Forever does not mean eternal without maintenance. It means long-lasting, renewable, and transferable. Think of a business that serves recurring needs, a digital product that sells repeatedly, intellectual property that earns royalties, equity in systems that grow with population and demand. These are not myth. They are structures. Assets last because they solve problems repeatedly. As long as a problem exists, the asset retains value. Your goal is not to predict the future perfectly. Your goal is to build assets tied to human constants: convenience, efficiency, education, health, status, time saving, entertainment, financial improvement. These needs never disappear. The 4 types of assets that pay you over time. Throughout this book, we will explore many specific examples, but they all fall into 4 broad categories. 1. Business assets. Systems that sell products or services without your constant involvement. 2. Financial asset. Equity, ownership stakes, and instruments that grow and distribute value. 3. Intellectual asset. Knowledge turned into repeatable value: books, courses, media, brands. 4. Digital and system asset. Platforms, automation, software, and scalable online structures. The key is not choosing the best asset. The key is choosing one aligned with your skills, resources, and patience level. The cost of waiting. Every year you delay building assets, you pay a hidden tax: lost compounding, missed learning cycles, increased dependence, higher risk later in life. Time is the only asset you cannot replenish. Starting small early beats starting big late. You do not need perfect conditions. You need direction and consistency. The 3 lies that keep people from building assets. Lie 1. I don't make enough yet. Asset building starts with small percentages, not large amounts. Lie 2. I need more knowledge first. Learning without action creates false confidence. Lie 3. It's too late for me. Assets care about strategy, not age. These lies sound rational. They are emotional defenses against uncertainty. The real goal: control, not riches. Money is a tool. Assets are leverage. Freedom is the outcome. The real goal is control over your time, control over your choices, control over your future. Assets give you optionality, the ability to say no, to pivot, to pause, to choose. This is why asset builders sleep better. Their effort compounds instead of resetting every morning. A new personal definition of wealth. From this point forward, redefine wealth as the ability to live well without needing to trade time for survival. By that definition, many high earners are poor, and many quiet asset owners are rich. This book exists to move you from the first group into the second. Part 2. Breaking the Income Trap and Designing an Asset-First Life. Most people don't fail financially because they lack ambition. They fail because they follow a script that was never designed to make them free. This part is about breaking that script. To build assets that pay you forever, you must first escape the income trap, the invisible system that keeps smart, hard-working people running endlessly without building lasting ownership. Once you see this trap clearly, you can redesign your financial life from the ground up, not around survival, but around leverage. This is where strategy replaces hope. The income trap explained simply. The income trap is not poverty. It is dependence. It looks like this. You earn money. You spend most of it. You save a little. You repeat the cycle. Even when income increases, the structure stays the same. Expenses rise, commitments expand, and pressure increases. You feel productive, but progress is slow. You feel busy, but ownership remains low. The trap is reinforced by 3 forces: lifestyle inflation, social expectations, short-term thinking. None of these are moral failures. They are structural defaults. Asset builders do not rely on willpower to escape this trap. They redesign the system. Why saving alone will never set you free. Saving is defensive. Assets are offensive. Savings protect you from emergencies. Assets move you toward independence. The problem is not saving money, it's stopping there. In a world where currencies lose value over time and costs steadily rise, money sitting still quietly shrink. You may feel responsible, but you are not progressing toward freedom. Asset builders ask a different question. How do I turn today's income into tomorrow's independence? That question changes every decision that follows. The asset-first framework. An asset-first life means ownership is not an afterthought. It is the priority. Here is the core framework you will use throughout this book. Income is fuel. Assets are the engine. Expenses are controlled, not eliminated. Time is allocated to ownership every week. This framework works at any income level. What matters is consistency, not size. Even small asset-building actions, done repeatedly, compound into life-changing outcomes. Redesigning your financial flow. Most people follow this order. Income, expenses, leftovers, savings, maybe investing. Asset builders reverse the flow. Income, asset allocation, expenses, optimization. This single change creates momentum. Before money disappears into consumption, a portion is deliberately redirected toward ownership. Not someday. Not when it's convenient. Immediately. You don't need perfection. You need priority. The ownership hour rule. One of the most powerful habits asset builders adopt is simple. Spend at least 1 hour per day or several hours per week building, learning, or improving an asset. Not consuming content. Not scrolling for motivation. Building. That hour compounds faster than money ever could. In 1 year, that is hundreds of focused hours. In 5 years, it separates you permanently from the average path. This hour is non-negotiable. It is how ownership is built quietly, consistently, and predictably. Why most people never start, and how you will. People delay asset building for predictable reasons. Fear of failure. Fear of looking inexperienced. Fear of choosing wrong. Fear of slow result. Asset builders accept a different reality. Confusion is temporary. Ownership is permanent. You do not need certainty. You need direction and movement. Starting imperfectly beats waiting perfectly. Designing a life that supports asset growth. Assets don't grow in chaotic lives. You must intentionally design your schedule, your energy, your environment. This does not mean extreme minimalism or deprivation. It means alignment. Your daily habits either feed asset growth or starve it. Ask yourself, does my routine create space for ownership? Do my commitments support long-term leverage? Does my environment reduce distraction or amplify it? Small adjustments here produce massive returns later. The power of boring consistency. Asset building is not exciting day to day. It is repetitive, quiet, and often invisible. That is why it works. The world rewards people who can. Show up when results are slow. Continue when recognition is absent. Build when others consume. Boring consistency creates extraordinary outcomes. Debt, risk, and reality. Not all debt is bad. Not all risk is reckless. The difference lies in purpose. Bad debt consumes future income. Strategic leverage accelerates asset ownership. Asset builders evaluate decisions through one lens. Does this move me closer to ownership, control, and optionality? If the answer is no, the decision is questioned, no matter how normal it seems. You are not late, you are early. Many people discover asset building after years of income dependency. This creates regret. Ignore it. Regret wastes energy. Ownership multiplies it. What matters is not when you start, but how consistently you continue. From this point forward, every decision can be filtered through ownership. That alone changes outcomes dramatically. The quiet separation. At some point, without announcement or drama, something shifts. Your assets begin to produce. Your confidence grows. Your urgency decreases. Your options expand. You are no longer chasing income desperately. You are directing it strategically. This separation is subtle, but permanent. The question that changes everything. From now on, ask this daily. What asset did I move forward today? Not money earned. Not tasks completed. Ownership advanced. If the answer is nothing, the day was expensive. If the answer is something, even small, you are winning. Part 3. Choosing the right assets without confusion or regret. One of the biggest mistakes people make after discovering asset building is rushing into the wrong thing. They hear success stories. They see screenshots. They follow trends. They jump from idea to idea, hoping something finally works. What they don't realize is that asset building is not about copying outcomes. It's about aligning strategy with who you are, what you have, and how long you're willing to wait. This part exists to remove confusion. By the end of this section, you will understand how to choose assets with clarity, confidence, and patience, so that every hour and every dollar you invest actually moves you forward. Why most people choose the wrong asset. People usually choose assets for the wrong reasons. They look impressive. Someone else made money from them. They promise fast result. They are heavily promoted. None of these reasons predict success. The truth is simple but rarely stated. The best asset is not the most profitable one. It is the one you will actually stick with long enough to compound. An asset that fits your personality will outperform a perfect asset you abandon. The 4 filters every asset must pass. Before committing to any asset, pass it through these 4 filters. If it fails even one, pause. 1. The understanding filter. Do you understand how this asset produces value and money? If the explanation sounds magical or overly complex, it's a warning sign. You don't need mastery, but you need clarity. Confusion kills consistency. 2. The time filter. Does this asset match the time you can realistically invest right now? Some assets demand upfront intensity. Others demand patience. Few demand nothing. Be honest about your current season of life. 3. The skill alignment filter. Does this asset use skills you already have, or skills you're willing to build? Assets reward competence. Resistance to learning creates friction. 4. The patience filter. How long are you willing to wait before meaningful results? Some assets grow slowly but powerfully. Others move faster but require constant attention. Misaligned patience leads to quitting too early. Active assets versus passive assets. The truth. There is no such thing as a truly passive asset at the beginning. Every asset starts active. Some become passive later. This misunderstanding destroys motivation. In the early stages, businesses need systems. Investments need understanding. Digital assets need creation. Brands need trust. Asset builders accept this upfront effort because they know the payoff is leverage later. If you are unwilling to work before results appear, asset building will always feel disappointing. The asset spectrum, from time-heavy to capital-heavy. Assets exist on a spectrum. On one end, time-heavy, capital-light asset, content, skills-based businesses, digital product, education platforms. On the other end, capital-heavy, time-light asset, equity, financial instruments, ownership stakes, income-producing investments. Most people start on the time-heavy side because time is what they have. As assets grow, they migrate toward capital-heavy ownership. This is not a weakness. It is the natural progression. Why starting small is a strategic advantage. Starting small gives you faster feedback, lower risk, faster learning cycles, emotional resilience. Large commitments too early amplify fear and hesitation. Small assets teach big lessons. The goal is not to win immediately. The goal is to stay in the game. The one asset rule. One of the most powerful decisions you can make is this. Commit to building one primary asset until it reaches stability. Not 3. Not 5. 1. Scattered effort feels productive but produces shallow result. Focus creates depth, and depth creates momentum. Once the first asset is stable, expansion becomes easier and safer. Common asset categories, without the hype. Let's clarify what actually works, without exaggeration. Business assets. These solve problems for people and charge for it. They scale through systems, not effort. Intellectual asset. Books, courses, media, and knowledge product. These reward clarity, trust, and consistency. Digital assets. Platforms, automation, software, and online systems that scale beyond geography. Ownership and equity asset. You own a piece of something that grows without your direct involvement. None of these are easy. All of them are proven. The danger of trend chasing. Trends attract attention, not stability. By the time something is heavily promoted, early advantages are often gone. What remains is competition and disappointment. Asset builders do not chase novelty. They chase durability. Will this still matter in 5 or 10 years? If the answer is unclear, proceed cautiously. Boredom is a signal, not a problem. When asset building starts working, it often becomes boring. Processes repeat. Results arrive slowly. Drama disappears. This boredom is not failure, it is stability. Most people quit right before this stage because they mistake calm progress for stagnation. Those who continue quietly separate themselves permanently. Your personal asset map. You do not need a perfect plan. You need a simple map. Answer these questions honestly. How much time can I give weekly? How much capital can I risk without stress? What skills do I enjoy improving? How long can I wait for results? Your answers point to your starting asset. There is no universal best choice, only aligned choices. Why regret comes from inaction, not mistakes. People fear choosing the wrong asset. But regret does not come from wrong attempts. It comes from never committing long enough to learn. Mistakes educate. Inaction stagnates. Every asset you attempt teaches you how value works, how people think, and how systems grow. None of that is wasted. The commitment that changes outcomes. At some point, asset building stops being an experiment and becomes an identity. You stop asking, "Will this work?" and start asking, "How do I improve this?" That shift changes everything. Part 4. Building your first asset from zero to stability. Every meaningful asset begins the same way: fragile, incomplete, and unimpressive. This is where most people quit. Not because the opportunity isn't real, but because the early phase doesn't match the fantasy they were sold. This part exists to ground you in reality, remove unnecessary pressure, and show you how real assets are actually built, step by step, without overwhelm. If you can internalize what follows, you will no longer fear starting. You will understand the process, trust it, and commit to it long enough for results to emerge. The myth of the perfect start. There is no perfect starting point. Waiting for clarity, confidence, or complete knowledge is one of the most expensive delays you can make. Assets reward motion, not perfection. The first version of any asset is supposed to be rough, incomplete, inefficient, unremarkable. This is not a flaw. It is the entry fee. The only unacceptable outcome is never starting. The 3 phases of asset creation. Every asset, regardless of type, moves through 3 unavoidable phases. Phase 1, creation. This phase is effort-heavy and reward-light. You are building without feedback, recognition, or certainty. Progress feels slow. Doubt is common. This is where discipline matters more than motivation. Phase 2, stabilization. Here, the asset begins to function. Income may be inconsistent but real. Systems start forming. You see what works and what doesn't. Most people quit here because results are visible but not dramatic. Phase 3, leverage. This is where compounding becomes obvious. The asset improves faster than your effort increases. Opportunities multiply. Optionality expands. The goal of your first asset is not instant leverage. It is to reach stabilization. Why your first asset should be simple. Complexity delays progress. Your first asset should solve one clear problem, serve one specific group, use simple systems, require minimal moving parts. Simplicity increases speed, learning, and confidence. You are not building your final empire. You are building your proof of ownership, turning skills into asset. Most people already possess asset-worthy skills but fail to recognize them. Skills become assets when they are structured, repeatable, transferable. You don't need rare talent. You need clarity. Ask yourself, what do people already ask me for help with? What have I learned through experience? What problems have I solved repeatedly? Packaging value is more important than inventing it. The minimum viable asset (MVA). Instead of trying to build something impressive, aim for something functional. A minimum viable asset delivers real value, works consistently, can improve over time, exists in the real world. Perfection can come later. Progress cannot. Building systems instead of stress. Assets fail when everything depends on you. From the beginning, think in systems. Clear processes, simple workflows, repeatable actions, documented steps. Systems reduce emotional fatigue and increase scalability. If an asset cannot function without constant decision-making, it will eventually exhaust you. Measuring progress the right way. Early-stage asset builders often track the wrong metric. Do not obsess over applause, immediate income, external validation. Track consistency of action, process improvements, skill development, system stability. These metrics predict long-term success far better than short-term reward. The discipline of showing up without result. This is where asset builders separate themselves permanently. There will be weeks, sometimes months, where progress is invisible. No feedback, no momentum, no excitement. Showing up anyway builds trust in yourself, emotional resilience, long-term discipline. Assets reward those who continue when motivation disappears. The role of failure in asset growth. Failure is not evidence of incapability. It is evidence of exposure. Every failed attempt teaches you what the market wants, what systems break, where inefficiencies exist, how people respond to value. Failure compresses learning time. Avoiding failure extends it. When to improve versus when to persist. One of the hardest skills to learn is discernment. Do not abandon an asset simply because it's uncomfortable. Do not persist blindly if the core idea is broken. Is the problem real? Is the value clear? Is the execution the issue? Most assets fail due to execution, not concept. Improve before you quit. Building confidence through ownership. Confidence does not come from thinking. It comes from evidence. Each small win compounds. A completed system. A real customer. A functioning process. A repeatable result. Ownership creates identity. At some point, you stop hoping to be an asset builder. You simply are one. Protecting your energy. Asset building requires sustained effort. You must protect focus, time, mental clarity. Distractions are not harmless, they delay compounding. Create boundaries around your ownership time. Treat it with respect. This is not a hobby. It is the foundation of your future freedom. The long game advantage. Most people underestimate what consistent effort produces over years. They quit too early because progress feels slow. Comparisons distort reality. Patience is uncomfortable. Asset builders win because they stay long enough for compounding to appear inevitable. A quiet turning point. There will be a moment, quiet, unspectacular, when you realize this no longer feels fragile. Your asset works, your systems hold, your confidence stabilizes. From that moment forward, everything becomes easier. Part 5. Scaling your asset without losing control. By now, your first asset exists. It may be small, imperfect, and demanding, but it is real. It produces value, teaches lessons, and confirms what you already suspected. Ownership works. The next step is scaling, growing that asset so it produces more value and income without requiring exponentially more effort. This is the stage where many people fail, not from lack of intelligence but from lack of strategy. Scaling is not luck, it is deliberate design. This part will teach you how to expand your assets safely, sustainably, and strategically. The illusion of more effort equals more results. Scaling is not about working harder. It is about working smarter with leverage. Many asset builders burn out because they assume, if I just do more, the asset will grow faster. This is only true for a short time. Eventually, your time becomes the bottleneck. Beyond that, exponential growth requires leverage, automation, or delegation. The goal of scaling is to decouple income from time. That is the hallmark of a truly valuable asset. The leverage principle. Leverage is the multiplier that transforms effort into exponential result. There are three main forms. Time leverage, systems and processes that allow outcomes without constant involvement. People leverage, hiring, collaborating, or outsourcing to amplify impact. Capital leverage, strategically reinvesting money to create greater returns. Scaling without leverage is stress disguised as progress. Scaling with leverage is freedom disguised as work. Systems that scale. The backbone of any scalable asset is a system. Systems reduce randomness, increase predictability, and allow others to take responsibility. Ask yourself, which repetitive tasks can I automate? Which decisions can I standardize? Which roles can someone else handle? Automation is not only technical. It can be as simple as templates, schedules, or processes that remove friction from growth. Delegation, the hardest step for many. Many first-time asset builders resist delegation. They believe, I must do it myself, or, no one can do it as well as me. This mindset limits growth. True scaling requires trust in others, clear expectations, accountability systems. Remember, perfection is not required. Improvement is inevitable when systems are in place. Your job is to focus on high-value decisions, not low-value repetition. Strategic reinvestment. Scaling assets often requires capital. This is where people hesitate, fearing risk. Reinvestment should follow clear rules. Prioritize high ROI areas, where additional effort or money produces the greatest result. Test incrementally, avoid pouring resources blindly. Protect core operations. Never gamble the foundational stability of the asset. Reinvestment accelerates growth, but it must be deliberate, not desperate. Measuring scale correctly. Many asset builders track the wrong metrics. Growth is not about vanity metrics. It is about sustainable output, value, and profit. Focus on revenue per unit of time, customer retention, system efficiency, cost versus value ratio. Metrics should guide decisions, not create anxiety. Measurement without action is meaningless. Action without measurement is reckless. The risk of overexpansion. Scaling too quickly is more dangerous than growing slowly. Overexpansion leads to operational chaos, quality decline, financial strain, personal burnout. The rule is simple: scale within capacity. Expand only when systems, people, and capital are ready. Think like an engineer: incremental, measured, controlled. Compound growth versus linear growth. Many first-time builders aim for linear growth. One step, one sale, one customer at a time. That works initially but caps potential. Compound growth occurs when assets leverage recurring value, build on previous outputs, expand reach without proportionally increasing input. Examples include course that sells automatically, a subscription business, intellectual property generating royalties, investments reinvesting returns. Scaling is about enabling compounding, not just more output, protecting the asset during growth. Growth introduces new risks, mistakes, distractions, and unforeseen costs. Protect your asset by documenting systems, building financial buffers, maintaining quality standards, keeping focus on long-term vision. Short-term shortcuts destroy long-term value. Timing and patience. Scaling too fast or too slow both carry risk. Timing is critical. Is the market ready? Are my systems robust? Can I maintain quality at scale? Do I have the resources to support expansion? Rushing leads to chaos. Hesitating leads to missed opportunity. Growth requires rhythm, not panic. The psychological shift. As assets scale, your role changes. You move from creator to owner and operator. This shift is both liberating and uncomfortable. You trade hands-on work for decision-making. You delegate responsibility but remain accountable. You earn more but also feel more pressure to preserve value. Accepting this transition is essential. Resistance slows progress and creates stress. The long-term mindset for scaling. Scaling is not about overnight success. It is about patience with compounding, discipline with systems, focused reinvestment, avoiding the trap of more, faster, riskier. Scaling builds permanent freedom when done deliberately. It destroys freedom when done impulsively. Part 6. Multiplying assets and building a portfolio that lasts. By now, you have a functioning asset, perhaps scaled modestly, perhaps still in stabilization. You have proven to yourself that ownership works. You've experienced discipline, patience, and the power of compounding. The next stage is about multiplication. Taking what you've built and leveraging it to create not just one source of income, but several, each reinforcing the other. This is the true path to financial resilience and the foundation for assets that pay you forever. This part will guide you step by step through expanding from a single asset into a sustainable, diversified portfolio. Why multiple assets matter. One asset is never enough. Even the strongest, most stable asset carries risk. Market changes. Consumer preferences shift. Technological disruption. Personal health or circumstances. Multiple assets provide redundancy and security. They allow your income to continue even if one asset slows. They create optionality, freedom, and resilience. Asset builders think in systems, not in single bets. Portfolio thinking. Income, risk, and time. Building multiple assets requires thinking in 3 dimensions. Income potential. Each asset must contribute meaningful value or revenue to the portfolio. Some assets are larger and riskier, others smaller and steady. Risk diversification. Don't put all your effort or capital into one type of asset. Spread across business, intellectual property, digital platforms, and equity to protect against failure. Time allocation. Some assets require hands-on effort, others run semi-passively. Distribute your energy wisely to ensure growth without burnout. The portfolio mindset shifts your perspective. Each asset is a piece of a larger, self-reinforcing system. Selecting complementary asset. Not all assets multiply value equally. When adding new assets, look for complementarity. Does it enhance or leverage existing assets? Skill synergy. Can you apply knowledge or systems you already have? Time efficiency. Can it be partially automated or delegated? For example, a digital course complements a consulting business. A blog or media platform amplifies a course or service. Equity investments can leverage cash flow from your business asset. The goal is synergy, not just accumulation. Sequential asset building. Begin with one primary asset. Once stabilized and generating consistent results, move to the next. A common sequence. Time-heavy, skill-aligned asset, your first creation. Repeatable digital or intellectual asset. Capital-light investment asset. Equity or ownership in a scalable business. Diversified portfolio of passive or semi-passive investments. This order balances risk, learning, and compounding. Avoiding overstretch. The biggest danger in multiplying assets is overstretch, taking on too many projects too soon. Symptoms: quality suffers, systems fail, motivation collapses, stress skyrockets. Solution: build each asset to stability first. Automate and delegate wherever possible. Expand gradually. Patience multiplies results more reliably than speed. Leveraging existing assets for growth. Your first asset can fuel the next. Ways to leverage: profits as reinvestment capital, audience or customer base for new product, skills learned for complementary ventures, systems and automation frameworks. Think of your first asset as a launchpad. Each additional asset benefits from the foundation you've already built. Diversifying asset type. Diversification protects your portfolio and maximizes compounding. Key asset categories to consider: business assets, scaled, system-driven businesses or service models, digital assets, websites, platforms, automation tools, intellectual assets, books, courses, online content, brands, financial/equity assets, stocks, private equity, dividend-producing asset. Each category responds differently to effort, time, and market conditions. Combining them balances stability and growth. The role of time in portfolio growth. Assets that pay forever require time, not just effort. Some assets mature quickly but plateau. Others grow slowly but compound indefinitely. The portfolio approach balances short-term results with long-term compounding. As you gain experience, you can accelerate growth across multiple assets simultaneously. Measuring portfolio success. Traditional metrics are insufficient. True measurement focuses on freedom and optionality. Is the portfolio self-sustaining? Can you survive if one asset fails? Does it free up your time while increasing income? Are systems improving continuously? If yes, the portfolio is working. If not, reassess and realign. Risk management across asset. Diversification reduces risk, but deliberate management is still required. Monitor market trends. Maintain cash buffers. Avoid over-leverage. Adapt systems when necessary. Resilient portfolios withstand shocks and continue compounding. The psychological shift to multi-asset thinking. Moving from a single asset to multiple assets is a mindset shift. You stop obsessing over perfection in one area. You learn to trust systems and leverage. You think in years, not days. You develop patience with compounding. This is where asset builders transition from owner to strategic investor, managing a self-reinforcing ecosystem of value. The importance of alignment. Even as you multiply assets, alignment matters. Does this asset match my skills? Does it match my energy and focus? Does it integrate with existing systems? Misaligned assets create chaos, dilute focus, and destroy compounding. Alignment ensures momentum. Preparing for long-term wealth. The goal is perpetual, self-sustaining assets, not temporary income spike. A portfolio approach allows income continuity, capital growth, diversification, resilience to change. By building multiple, complementary assets, you reduce risk and increase control, laying the foundation for income that truly lasts. Part 7. Protecting and future-proofing your assets. By this stage, you likely have at least one functioning asset, possibly a small portfolio of multiple assets. You have proven that ownership works, and perhaps you are already experiencing early signs of compounding freedom. However, creating assets is only half the battle. The other half, often more overlooked, is protection and future-proofing. Without it, years of effort can be eroded by mistakes, unforeseen circumstances, market shifts, or poor planning. This part is about safeguarding your wealth so that the income you've built continues indefinitely, forever. Why protection is part of ownership. Many first-time asset builders underestimate the risks that come with success. Assets are not immune to failure. Markets change, Technology evolves. Competitors emerge. Laws shift. Personal circumstances change. Owning an asset without protection is like planting a tree without roots. Growth may come, but it is fragile. Protecting your assets is not pessimism, it is discipline. Freedom is not just earning, it's preserving what you earn. The three core pillars of asset protection. To future-proof your income, focus on these three areas: legal and structural protection, financial and risk management, operational resilience and redundancy. Each pillar ensures that your assets continue producing even under stress. Legal and structural protection. Legal safeguards prevent unexpected loss from disputes, liability, or external claims. Consider incorporating your business or holding assets in appropriate legal entities, using contracts and agreements to define ownership and responsibilities, protecting intellectual property, trademarks, copyrights, patents, estate planning and succession structures to ensure continuity. Without these structures, you risk losing assets to lawsuits, competitors, or personal mismanagement. Financial and risk management. Even strong assets can fail without financial discipline. Key strategies include maintaining cash reserves for emergencies, avoiding over-leverage or reckless debt, ensuring valuable assets, property, business, intellectual property, diversifying investments to reduce systemic risk. Financial protection ensures that a temporary setback does not permanently destroy your wealth. Operational resilience and redundancy. Assets must survive human error, technical failures, and market fluctuations. Practical steps. Automate critical processes. Document workflows and systems. Train backup personnel or collaborators. Use redundant infrastructure for digital or business asset. Redundancy transforms fragile systems into resilient systems, where failure is not catastrophic but manageable. The risk of complacency. One of the most dangerous traps is complacency. Early wins often create a false sense of security. You may assume your systems, skills, or revenue streams are invincible. Assets are alive, not static. Markets, technology, and society change constantly. Ignoring these shifts can slowly erode value until it disappears. Protection is continuous, not a one-time setup. Continuous learning as a protection strategy. The best protection is knowledge. Owners who actively learn about market trends, emerging technologies, legal or tax updates, consumer behavior, are more likely to anticipate threats and adapt early, preserving and even increasing asset value. Building a margin of safety. Safety margins are principles borrowed from engineering and investing. They provide buffer zones for unexpected events. In practice, hold more cash than you think necessary. Avoid overdependence on one client, platform, or market. Create flexible systems that can pivot quickly. Avoid all-in bets without fallback plans. Margin of safety ensures your assets can survive uncertainty and thrive long-term. Protecting digital and intellectual asset. Digital and intellectual assets are powerful because they scale easily, but they are fragile without protection. Back up all digital data regularly. Secure accounts with strong, unique passwords. Protect copyrights and content rights. Monitor usage and licensing agreement. These steps safeguard both revenue and reputation. Protecting business asset. Businesses are living systems that depend on customers, employees, and systems. Key protections include strong contracts with suppliers, clients, and partners, clear operational manuals and standard operating procedures, insurance coverage for liability and business interruptions, contingency plans for key personnel or leadership. A business that cannot survive the temporary absence of its founder is not truly an asset. It is a job in disguise. Protecting equity and investment asset. Equity and investment assets must be future-proofed against market and institutional risk. Diversify across sectors and asset classes. Reinvest dividends or profits wisely. Periodically review risk tolerance. Avoid impulsive decisions based on emotion. An investment portfolio without active protection is vulnerable to erosion by both market volatility and behavioral mistake. Mental and emotional protection. Ownership is as much psychological as financial. Stress, fear, and overconfidence can destroy decision-making. Protect your mental state by setting boundaries for work and decision-making, avoiding unnecessary distractions, seeking advisors or mentors for guidance, maintaining perspective on both success and failure. Emotional resilience is a critical, often overlooked, part of preserving asset. Preparing assets for longevity. The ultimate goal is not just protection, it is sustainability. Ask yourself, can this asset survive if I am absent for months? Can this income continue even if the market shifts? Have I built systems that reduce reliance on me? Sustainability ensures the asset not only survives but thrives indefinitely. The compound advantage of protected asset. Assets that are protected compound faster. Systems remain intact, income flows consistently, and reinvestment accelerates growth. The cycle is simple. Build, protect, scale, multiply, reinvest, repeat. This is the path toward assets that truly pay forever. Part 8. Mastering the mindset for long-term wealth. By this stage, you have built and scaled at least one asset, perhaps even a portfolio. You've protected your assets, implemented systems, and begun to experience the compounding benefits of ownership. But there is a hidden factor that determines whether your wealth lasts forever: your mindset. Without the proper mental framework, even the best systems can crumble. Habits falter, emotions interfere, and decision-making weakens. This part focuses on mastering the mindset that ensures your assets continue producing, growing, and compounding indefinitely. The difference between rich and wealthy. Many people confuse rich with wealthy. Rich, high income, often dependent on effort, lifestyle can outpace growth, fragile to change. Wealthy, ownership of systems, assets, and knowledge that generate continuous value independent of daily effort, resilient to change. The mindset of wealth focuses on long-term value creation, not short-term gratification. Long-term thinking is non-negotiable. Asset builders think in decades, not weeks. Immediate results are exciting but rarely sustainable. Wealth that lasts forever comes from decisions that may feel small or slow today but compound exponentially over time. Key behaviors of long-term thinkers. Delay gratification strategically. Avoid impulsive consumption. Measure success in ownership and optionality, not recognition or status. Prioritize learning and growth over appearances. Time is your most valuable asset. Mindset determines how effectively you use it. Emotional discipline over motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is permanent. Your emotions will fluctuate: excitement, fear, impatience, doubt. A mindset aligned with asset building recognizes this cycle and acts regardless of emotional state. Develop routines, systems, and habits that remove reliance on emotion. Scheduled asset building time. Defined decision-making frameworks. Rules for reinvestment and scaling. Discipline transforms temporary effort into compounding wealth. The scarcity versus abundance mindset. Scarcity mindset. I must hoard, compete, and act quickly because opportunities are limited. Abundance mindset. There are countless opportunities. My role is to act strategically and consistently. Asset builders adopt an abundance mindset. It allows them to take calculated risks, collaborate, and scale without fear. Scarcity leads to stress, impulsive decisions, and short-term thinking. The compound mindset. Compounding is not just financial, it is behavioral. Small, consistent improvements in skill, system efficiency, and asset structure compound over years. Strategic reinvestment of profits creates exponential financial growth. Knowledge applied consistently multiplies decision-making power. This mindset treats every hour, every dollar, and every system as an opportunity to compound, not as a finite resource. Thinking in systems, not transactions. Most people think transactionally. I sell, I earn, I spend. Wealthy asset builders think in systems. How does this action affect the system long term? What feedback loops exist to enhance growth? How can I reduce risk while multiplying output? Systems thinking reduces mistakes, prevents burnout, and ensures that assets continue producing without constant attention. The patience advantage. Patience is rare, yet essential. Short-term impatience leads to premature scaling, overspending, or quitting. Long-term patience allows compounding, systemic growth, and resilience. Wealthy asset builders embrace delayed gratification as a strategic advantage, not a sacrifice. Most people fail not because they are wrong, but because they quit too early. Mental resilience and stress management. Owning assets introduces stress, uncertainty, decision overload, market changes, human dynamic. Mental resilience ensures clear thinking under pressure. Key practices: regular reflection and journaling, meditation or focused mental break, exercise and physical well-being, clear boundaries between work and personal life. Resilience allows consistent action when others falter. Avoiding ego traps. Wealth attracts attention, advice, and temptation. Ego can be destructive. Overconfidence leads to risky expansions. Impatience leads to abandoning slow compounding asset. Comparison leads to unnecessary diversification or distractions. A strong asset-focused mindset separates ego from strategy. Focus remains on value creation, not appearance. Ownership as identity. True asset builders internalize ownership as part of who they are. This identity shift is crucial. Decisions are guided by protecting and growing asset. Daily actions reinforce long-term value creation. Short-term setbacks do not shake confidence. When ownership becomes identity, habits, systems, and discipline align naturally. Continual learning and adaptation. Markets, technology, and human needs evolve. A wealthy mindset embraces lifelong learning. Analyze trends without chasing hype. Adapt systems when necessary. Upgrade skills relevant to asset growth. Observe other successful asset builders for insight. Adaptation ensures that assets remain relevant and continue generating income. Alignment of values and goals. Wealth is sustainable when aligned with your values and purpose. Assets built purely for money often collapse under pressure. Alignment increases motivation, persistence, and satisfaction. Ask yourself, do my assets reflect my goals and values? Do they serve problems people genuinely need solved? Do they allow me to live the life I desire while compounding income? Alignment creates a natural feedback loop between personal satisfaction and financial growth. Preparing for forever. With a strong mindset, assets not only survive, they thrive. Your mental framework now ensures consistent action under uncertainty, resilience under stress, strategic decision-making, patience and long-term focus. This is the invisible infrastructure of wealth. Systems, money, and assets depend on it. Without it, everything else falters. Part 9. Creating recurring, passive income that lasts. By now, you have built, scaled, protected, and mentally aligned with your asset. You may already be generating consistent income, but true financial freedom comes from recurring, passive income, money that flows continuously without your daily input from assets that compound in value. This part dives deep into how to design, implement, and optimize income streams that work for you indefinitely, giving you time, freedom, and security. The misconception of passive income. Most people think passive income means doing nothing and still earning. That is a myth. True passive income requires upfront work, systems, and strategy. Only after the initial effort can you achieve recurring results with minimal ongoing intervention. Think of it as planting a forest. You water, nurture, and protect young trees. Years later, they provide shade, fruit, and wood continuously. The pillars of recurring income. Recurring income is built on three essential pillars. Value creation. Your asset must consistently deliver real value to others. Automation and systems. Processes must operate with minimal intervention. Scalability. The asset must be able to grow without requiring proportional increases in effort. Without all three, your passive income will remain fragile or episodic. Types of recurring income asset. Let's explore the main categories of assets that generate recurring income. 1. Subscription-based business models. Memberships, SaaS platforms, recurring service contract. Advantages. Predictable revenue, long-term customer relationship. Requirements. Clear value, excellent onboarding, retention systems. 2. Intellectual property. Books, online courses, software, licenses. Advantages. Scales infinitely once created, minimal ongoing work. Requirements. High-quality content, marketing systems, platform distribution. 3. Dividend and interest-producing investments. Stocks, bonds, REITs, dividend-focused portfolios. Advantages. Minimal daily involvement, compounding over time. Requirements. Smart selection, diversification, reinvestment strategy. 4. Equity stakes and royalties. Owning part of a business, franchising, licensing agreement. Advantages. Growth potential, ownership leverage. Requirements. Legal protections, operational clarity, oversight. Each type has trade-offs between effort, risk, and reward. Combining multiple types creates a resilient recurring income ecosystem. Designing your recurring income system. Step 1. Select the assets aligned with your skills, resources, and portfolio. Step 2. Define the value delivery mechanism. How does this asset provide ongoing value to customers, clients, or users? Step 3. Implement automation. Billing, communication, service delivery, digital content delivery. Step 4. Set feedback loops. Measure performance, optimize processes, improve value. Step 5. Reinvest. Reinvest profits to strengthen and expand the system. This structured approach reduces risk, increases predictability, and allows growth without constant attention. The role of marketing in recurring income. Even the best assets fail without visibility. Recurring income relies on a steady inflow of customers, clients, or users. Key strategies. Targeted messaging to ideal users. Automated onboarding processes. Retention strategies. Loyalty programs, value updates, engagement content. Continuous testing and optimization. Marketing is not optional. It is part of the system that enables long-term income. Minimizing churn and retention risk. Recurring income is fragile if people leave faster than they join. Retention is more important than acquisition once systems are in place. Practical steps. Over-deliver value consistently. Anticipate customer needs and problems. Monitor metrics. Usage, engagement, satisfaction. Actively improve systems and offerings. A small reduction in churn can exponentially increase income over time. The power of compounding recurring asset. Recurring income grows exponentially because revenue accumulates continuously. Reinvestment magnifies returns. Systems improve over time. Knowledge and skill compound. Even modest recurring streams, consistently maintained, can surpass high-effort, one-time income sources in the long run. Risk management for recurring asset. Recurring income requires protection just like any other asset. Risks include market saturation, technological disruption, platform dependency, legal or contractual changes, mitigation strategies. Diversify platforms, channels, and income type. Keep systems flexible and adaptable. Protect intellectual property and legal rights. Maintain financial buffers. Proactive risk management preserves continuity and ensures perpetual income. Reinforcing your existing asset. Recurring systems do not exist in isolation. They can be reinforced by other assets. Content from one asset can feed another. Profits from investments can fund business expansions. Equity stakes can create cross-collateralized returns. The key is creating a self-reinforcing ecosystem where assets support each other, amplifying overall compounding potential. When to add new recurring streams. Timing matters. Adding too soon can stretch focus and quality. Adding too late can slow growth. Guidelines. Ensure existing assets are stable and profitable. Test systems incrementally before scaling. Align new streams with existing strengths and portfolio synergy. Reinvest strategically to amplify returns. The goal is growth without chaos. Mental habits for recurring income. Recurring income demands a mindset of long-term oversight, patience, and continuous improvement. Treat income streams as living systems, not static objects. Track metrics that matter, not vanity metrics. Adapt when systems show inefficiencies. Avoid over-reliance on a single source. Your mindset ensures that assets remain productive indefinitely. Preparing for forever. Recurring income is the cornerstone of financial freedom. When structured correctly, revenue flows with minimal daily effort. Systems scale independently of you. Portfolio resilience is maximized. Optionality and freedom increase exponentially. Your goal is not temporary financial comfort, it is perpetual wealth built once and maintained efficiently. Part 10. Building Legacy and Generational Wealth. At this stage, your assets are functioning, scaled, protected, and generating recurring income. You are experiencing the compounding power of ownership, systems, and strategy. But true financial mastery is about creating wealth that lasts beyond your own lifetime, a legacy that can support future generations, institutions, or causes you care about. This part explores how to think, structure, and act so that your assets truly pay you, and those who come after you, forever. The difference between wealth and legacy. Wealth is financial accumulation. Legacy is financial permanence. Legacy ensures your efforts compound beyond your lifespan, supporting family, organizations, or communities while preserving the systems and mindset that generated it. Without planning for legacy, even the largest fortunes can dissipate in a single generation. True wealth is measured by what endures. Core principles of generational wealth. Ownership structure. Establish trusts, LLCs, or corporations to protect assets from taxation, lawsuits, and mismanagement. Separate personal and business assets to safeguard long-term value. Diversification and redundancy. Spread assets across multiple classes, sectors, and regions. Avoid overdependence on a single source of income or location. Education and knowledge transfer. Teach future generations how assets work, how to manage risk, and how to maintain systems. Knowledge transfer is more valuable than money alone. Sustainable growth. Avoid reckless expansion. Legacy assets grow steadily, predictably, and without compromising core systems. Reinforce compounding over time. Estate planning as a tool for perpetual wealth. Failing to plan for succession is one of the fastest ways to destroy generational wealth. Key considerations. Wills and trusts to direct inheritance efficiently. Clear instructions for asset management. Tax planning to reduce erosion of value. Contingency plans for unexpected events. Proper planning ensures continuity and protects your family or organization from unnecessary conflict. Protecting against market and societal changes. Markets evolve, regulations change, and industries rise and fall. Legacy assets must be resilient. Maintain a diversified portfolio across asset type. Use systems and automation to adapt without constant supervision. Periodically reassess strategy to align with new realities. Legacy planning is dynamic, not a one-time task. Teaching others to build asset. Legacy is amplified when you teach others the principles you followed. Family members, key collaborators or successors, community or professional networks. The knowledge you share creates compounding value that money alone cannot. The role of philanthropy in legacy. Beyond family, your wealth can create lasting impact through philanthropy. Align donations with strategic, long-term goals. Invest in causes that multiply social or economic impact. Structure giving in ways that reinforce rather than deplete asset. Legacy is not just survival, it is positive influence. Systems for perpetual oversight. Even assets intended to last forever require monitoring. Annual or quarterly system reviews. Metrics for performance, risk, and growth. Mechanisms for updating or pivoting systems as markets change. Perpetual oversight ensures your legacy continues to compound without requiring constant hands-on management. Psychological preparation for generational wealth. True legacy requires mindset alignment. Accept that wealth is a tool, not the ultimate goal. Separate ego from asset management. Focus on long-term impact, not short-term approval. Prepare emotionally for responsibility and stewardship. Mindset ensures assets are maintained and multiplied responsibly. The power of compounding beyond a lifetime. Generational wealth leverages time more than effort. Assets continue producing without your involvement. Compounding interest, systems, and processes grow exponentially. Knowledge and values passed on reduce mistakes for future owners. The result is a cycle of wealth and influence that can last indefinitely. Key steps to begin legacy building. Document all assets, systems, and processes. Establish legal structures for protection and succession. Diversify across time, asset type, and risk level. Educate and mentor successors or heirs. Implement recurring income streams with long-term stability. Review and adapt regularly. Legacy is not automatic. It is designed, implemented, and maintained. Preparing for forever. By now, your journey is clear. Assets built. Systems in place. Income recurring. Protection established. Mindset mastered. Portfolio diversified. The final step is ensuring all of this endures indefinitely, creating assets that pay you forever, long after your daily effort has ended. Part 11. The Complete Blueprint for Perpetual Wealth. Congratulations! You have built assets, scaled them, protected them, aligned your mindset, created recurring income, and even explored legacy and generational wealth. You are now ready for the final stage, integrating everything into a complete, actionable framework that ensures your assets truly pay you forever. This is where all the principles converge, turning theory, strategy, and mindset into a system that operates independently and compounds indefinitely. Step 1. Ownership first. Every enduring asset begins with ownership, control of your systems, processes, and decisions. Without ownership, nothing else matters. Take full responsibility for each asset. Document, systemize, and control every critical process. Ensure legal and financial ownership is indisputable. Ownership is not just a legal term, it is a mindset. Treat every asset as if its survival depends on your vigilance, because initially it does. Step 2. Build functional, scalable asset. Perpetual wealth is composed of assets that function without constant effort. To achieve this, start with simple, high-value asset. Focus on creating minimum viable assets, MVAs, before perfection. Ensure every asset has repeatable processes. Identify opportunities for automation or delegation. Each asset is a node in your wealth network. Functional assets create stability, confidence, and scalability. Step 3. Implement systems and processes. Systems are the backbone of perpetual wealth. Automate income delivery and management. Document workflows and standard operating procedures. Establish oversight and reporting systems. Regularly audit systems for efficiency and improvement. Without systems, your assets are fragile, and scaling becomes impossible. With systems, even small assets can produce outsized, long-term results. Step 4. Leverage and scale. Assets alone are insufficient. Leverage magnifies results. Time leverage. Delegate tasks to free your focus. People leverage. Collaborate, hire, and mentor for impact. Capital leverage. Strategically reinvest profits to accelerate growth. Scaling transforms stable assets into exponential wealth while protecting your energy and focus. Step 5. Diversify and build a portfolio. One asset is proof. Multiple assets are resilience. Build a portfolio. Spread across business, digital, intellectual, and financial asset. Balance risk, reward, and time commitment. Reinforce complementary assets to maximize compounding. Avoid over-diversification. Focus on quality and synergy. A well-structured portfolio reduces dependence on any single income source and ensures long-term stability. Step 6. Protect and future-proof. Assets that last forever must be safeguarded. Legal protection. Entities, contracts, IP rights, and estate planning. Financial protection. Cash buffers, insurance, and risk management. Operational protection. Redundancy, documentation, and automated oversight. Mental/emotional protection. Mindset resilience, boundaries, and stress management. Protection converts fragile wealth into enduring wealth. Step 7. Recurring, passive income. Perpetual wealth depends on income that does not require constant attention. Implement subscription-based, digital, or equity income streams. Focus on retention and system efficiency. Use profits to reinvest and strengthen asset. Monitor and optimize for growth and compounding. Recurring income transforms your time into freedom while assets continue to grow. Step 8. Mindset mastery. Perpetual wealth is impossible without a disciplined mindset. Think long-term, not in weeks or months. Delay gratification strategically. Embrace abundance and compounding thinking. Separate ego from decisions and focus on value creation. Maintain emotional resilience under uncertainty. Mindset is the invisible infrastructure supporting every system and decision. Step 9. Legacy and generational planning. Wealth that pays forever requires planning beyond your lifetime. Legal structures and estate planning to protect asset. Education and knowledge transfer for successors. Diversification to withstand market and societal changes. Philanthropic alignment to create impact and purpose. Legacy ensures that your work benefits generations and compounds beyond your lifetime. Step 10. Continuous improvement and adaptation. Perpetual wealth is not static, it evolves. Regularly review systems, assets, and portfolios. Track meaningful metrics, not vanity numbers. Adapt to market, technology, and behavioral changes. Reinforce recurring income streams. Expand and optimize based on learning and result. A commitment to constant refinement keeps your assets productive indefinitely. Step 11. The perpetual cycle. When all pieces come together, wealth becomes self-sustaining. Build, protect, scale, multiply, reinvest, repeat, legacy. Each cycle strengthens your assets, compounds value, and increases freedom. By integrating ownership, systems, recurring income, mindset mastery, and legacy planning, you create assets that pay forever, financial independence that is resilient, adaptable, and permanent. Final words. This is the culmination of years, or decades, of asset-building knowledge condensed into actionable steps. Remember, perfection is unnecessary, action is essential. Systems outperform effort alone. Compounding requires patience, discipline, and persistence. True wealth combines financial mastery with mindset and legacy. Your assets now have the potential to work for you indefinitely. Every step you've taken, from creation to protection, from mindset to multiplication, lays the foundation for a life where financial freedom is no longer a dream, but a permanent reality. You are no longer just a builder of income, you are an owner of enduring wealth. Protect, compound, multiply, pass it on. This is how you build assets that pay you forever,